Now, with all this drama over the missing Malaysian Airlines flight, I was so surprised to hear that 38,000 passports go missing all the time. Now, each year or something, isn't it?
Well, 38,000 in the last 12 months. So when you think of the population, I was gobsmacked to think, my God. But when you think of the number of people who are travelling and the number of passport holders, which I think is around about 12 million passports issued, 38,000, I don't know, but you think how you go through that at the time, it's panic stations when you lose it. But a lot of those are lost in Australia.
And where do they go? We've heard that there were two people travelling on stolen passports on that flight. One of them has been identified, but we thought we'd find out more about this because I worry about my passport all the time, having to hand it over when you do sometimes overseas. James Wilkinson is a travel editor for Time Out Australia and a travel expert. Hi, James.
Hi, good to talk to you.
So how can passports go missing? Well, I know they can be lost, but how can they go missing and not be reported or found? What's the process?
It's quite interesting watching this whole situation unfold at the moment because, these passports are a year and 2 years old at the moment. So you'd imagine there would be some stricter controls in place to make sure that this thing doesn't happen. But, people lose passports all the time. And it's one of those things I think that as soon as you lose your passport or it's been stolen, you've got to report it immediately and then obviously get a replacement. But in this instance, it doesn't sound like that's actually doing any good, though. So,
What about when you have to hand over your passport at hotels, which I've had to do? You travel in groups and you get there to check in and they want to keep your passport. Is that advisable? They want to take it. You've got no choice.
Yeah,
really.
all they're after is your passport number.
But
so
often they keep it.
Here. So all you need to do is write down your passport number on the check-in registration form, and then that solves having to keep your passport on your person.
I have a golden rule overseas. If someone wants your passport, I get it back straight away.
Yeah.
You don't want to be leaving your passport with anybody.
No.
I don't care if it's in a hotel or not. I don't think, James, they can't take your passport off you in a hotel and keep it overnight, can they?
No, all they do is take it off you for 3 or 4 minutes at the most, and all they do is actually write your passport number down. That's all they're after, and they're after the date of issue.
Sometimes
so the two things you should remember when you're travelling: remember your passport number, and remember the date and place of issue, and then you never have to really hand your passport over. Otherwise, you just do it yourself.
Well, I've been in a situation where there's been a big group of us, and we handed it over, and probably because there was a big group, we then went up to our rooms, and they said, "We'll give it to you when you come down again to go out to whatever."
That's dangerous.
It is dangerous.
You wouldn't advise that, would you, James?
It certainly is. Yeah, and there's nothing worse than someone having your passport and you don't have it on you. I mean, you've got to watch that thing like a hawk.
Well, I can understand on our home soil, about 75% of those 38,000 passports go missing at home. And and people can move house, and you think you got things in a safe place, or you come home from overseas and you just put your passport somewhere, and then you forget where you've put it.
Yeah, I travel around the world all the time, and the one thing I do, I think my passport's like my wallet. So I'm always kind of really making sure I know where it is. If it's in the house, it's in a drawer where I know I can access it easily or quickly. Now, the one thing I've really got to sort of hammer home is that make sure you've got some good travel insurance when you go away. So I'll give you an example. I was in Africa recently, and we're having sunset drinks with some British people, and this was in Zambia. And one of them had lost their passport on the bridge between Zimbabwe and Zambia. Now, she had to go all the way to the High Commission, which was in a complete different city, to go and get a new passport and come back. And obviously, you've got to pay for it all yourself. So one really big thing is, really be careful. Make sure you've got really good travel insurance. Because if you lose your passport overseas, you have to go to the city. Obviously, it could be anywhere in some countries to get a new passport.
And that's inconvenience, it's worry, it's and in the middle of a holiday, it is the last thing you need. Just further to the this Malaysian Airlines and the stolen passports, how would the two people travelling on the identity of somebody else get through customs, for instance?
Well, that's the big question now, because when you go and book a ticket online, you can go back and do your passport details later. And you notice when you check in, all the check-in staff are looking for is to make sure the names match up, so no one else is travelling on your ticket. So this is a question for governments in terms of, all this talk about Interpol at the moment. Interpol is saying that, it's up to governments to talk to them. So this comes down to a border control issue. So if governments aren't talking to Interpol about stolen and lost passports and fake passports, then people are just getting through immigration. So it comes down to more of a global issue because airlines are just issuing tickets, as we know, and they're doing the right thing the whole time. So it comes down to governments and border control really as to what happens onwards anywhere in the world.
Passports are supposed to be reported missing and cancelled if they're lost or whatever the case may be, stolen, and that's immediately, hopefully transferred to Interpol, but maybe. Yeah,
but could
something's fallen through the cracks.
These two blokes have got through on a fake photo that they've put on the passport, or they obviously had the passport in their hands?
Because you've got to wonder when you go to like the immigration and they scan your passport.
Yes.
What are they doing? These new chip passports are all well and good, but don't forget, only a certain few countries in the world are using chip passports. A lot of countries in the world aren't using that technology, so they're obviously just looking at the names matching up. So,
and the photo.
Some countries, the scanning mustn't actually be checking against any other list on the world, around the world. But I think this whole situation now, this is going to change very quickly. I think that governments around the world will start ensuring that their computers are talking to Interpol's computers, and people are getting flagged at that immigration point before they go anywhere.
We're speaking with James Wilkinson, travel editor for Time Out Australia and travel expert, and joining us from London this morning, where he is at the world's largest travel expo. Just before you go, mate, the new trends in travel for 2014 and 2015, what are we looking forward to?
We're looking forward to a lot more boutique designer hotels. You guys are in Brisbane, so hotels like the Emporium Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Award-winning Emporium
Hotels like that with a lot of individuality, some character, some unique designs. And the other really big trend, which is not going away, is premium economy. There's a lot of people flying premium. They want to spend a little bit more than economy, and they don't want to go business. Yeah. To go to Hong Kong, it's hard to justify the money for business class when premium is a pretty good option.
Okay, and mate, all the best, and thank you for joining us this morning and shedding some light on the 38,000 Australian passports that go missing, and hopefully, as you're saying, there will be more of a crackdown and more transferring information to Interpol.
Yeah, thanks for that, James.